it's my turn to do my top 10 games of 2025.
You look lovely. I feel massively underdressed now.
Well, you made an effort for yours. I thought we had to dress like we were doing the Oscars.
Welcome to BoxedMeeples, I'm Julian, and looking fantastic next to me is Libby. And today we are talking about your top 10 games of 2025.
Super excited.
Hopefully you've already seen, I've done a list as well, and we've tried not to do any overlaps. So if you're watching my video and you thought, well, where's this game or where's that game? Well, maybe it's because they are on Libby's list.
Yeah, we didn't have a huge number of overlaps, so we felt it was worth bringing you 20 great games from 2025 rather than having those crossovers. But I mean, there's so many fantastic games we haven't yet played, even ones on the shelf behind me. So there might be a few that we haven't gotten around to. Yeah, as we said in your video, maybe we'll come back to those later in the year once we've had a chance to play a few more, but this is how it stands right now, and these are my choices.
And they're in alphabetical order, so let's kick off with the first one. Covenant. So Covenant from Devir, we had this on our radar last year. It has finally reached our table.
Yes, it has indeed. The theme grabs us, of course. I mean, it sounds a little bit like The Hobbit. I think it says inside the rulebook that there's some inspiration there, but it's not similar enough to do the IP kind of thing. But you are dwarves, you are mining, you're trying to take back your home, and there is so much going on this board in terms of things that you can do. And combinations.
Yes.
When I do this and then I get to do this and I move up this track so I can do this other thing, and then that's given me this other thing that I can do now moving forward. It feels combo-tastic. And from what we've played so far, I think there's so much to discover still in this, and so much of sort of learning how things maybe work together, or just making the most of being able to do some of those combinations of things. And sort of maximizing your board. I feel like the way we've been playing it so far is just sort of dipping our toes in. And I want to explore, what if I dig loads? What if I build loads? What if I try and combo these things together, and how things will really turn out? But yeah, really interesting combo-tastic game from Big Toku is one of my favorite games.
It is,
so
yes.
Same designer.
Yeah. And unlike other games from Devir, limited amount of turns. It really is a case of maximizing what you do on every single turn and setting up those combos for later turns as well. Almost at the start of the year, we were introduced to Cyclades Legendary Edition, and I think it's pretty safe to say you loved it as soon as you sat down and played it for the first time.
Yes, like, I think epic is the word for a game like this. Really interesting bidding mechanic in terms of being able to take the different favour of the gods in terms of what action you're going to be doing and who's going to be left doing the slightly rubbish move at the end. And of course you're moving around these Greek islands, taking these territories and trying to control different areas. But what I love in this is the way you can control some of those different beasts, some different heroes, and how every time those come out into play on the board, it changes everything. You know, if the Hydra or the Kraken come out, it's so impactful and so dramatic for every player, not just the one controlling them. It brings that little bit of fear. Oh my gosh, my ships, let's get away. Yeah, so being able to have these different abilities just really changes it up every time. And you're not going to get them forever. So it doesn't feel like so overpowered. You've really got to fuel having that. So things change quite quickly throughout the game.
And of course, you'll be playing the Legendary Edition, which acts like a best of the earlier Cyclades Edition, taking choice expansions, bringing those all together in one glorious celebratory package.
Yes, so that's how it qualifies for the list.
A dragon on a box always catches your eye.
Of course it
and
does.
The first of the dragon-based games that are on your list is Emberheart from Mindclash.
Yeah, and this is a Mindclash play game. So it isn't quite as complicated as some that we might know Mindclash for. And it certainly has got some crunch to it and some decisions, but I would say the rules overhead is actually quite easy, which is nice. And a really nice, I suppose similar to Covenant in terms of you've got these different choices of what sort of route you want to go down in terms of how you're going to maximize your scoring. Are you going to pair up different dragons? Are you going to go off and try and deal with the poachers? One fun mechanic in this is that you're going to have to place different powered workers on the track to activate it, and then that's going to give you sort of first choice into it. If you use one type of worker, they're kind of one use and then they're going off. But then if you manage to upgrade to different specialists, you're going to get those back, but then you might need to spend them for certain other actions. So it's weighing up when you're upgrading for specialists, how much you can use them for, when you need to spend them for other things, and you're going to need to do that on every single turn. So it really does make some interesting combos, and you even have your own little dragon that you can put down to add something nice onto one of your turns every round.
Emberheart plays quite quickly, but what I like is the unpredictable nature of when it's going to the rounds are going to finish.
Yeah, you have these different shields, and it's not like a number of turns that you have per round. It's once the fourth shield is taken that ends the round. So you can actually push your opponents to end quickly so they can't do as much as they thought that they were going to. But really had a lovely time with this game, pairing up dragons with different riders or putting them out into these lovely sort of plain areas, trying to match up those colours and maximise my scoring conditions along the way.
Quite a thinky game. Looks quite simple, but there's a lot of ways you can score and find those routes to get in high scoring combos. It's really a secret of winning this.
Yeah, for sure.
The dragons keep on coming, and in a year of where we're getting these two-player dueling games, it wasn't necessarily a big surprise to see that there was a Flamecraft Duels that was released. What was the surprise is just how fantastic it is.
Yes, I mean, we've been playing this one in the summer, and the sort of Kickstarter's recently delivered, so we've had a chance to take it out and about even more, sort of day trips up to London, nice little box, open it up and get playing. And it's very different to Flamecraft.
Yes.
Of course, we've got that same world, those same dragons are in there, but we've got new dragons. And those new dragons are pretty darn cool. They have double powers, but this is a nice sort of abstract token tile laying game where you're trying to achieve your different objectives and get more than your opponent. Hopefully you're not setting them up, which can happen. And in the box there is some extra, there's a solo mode and there's some extra different cards to really sort of spice things up a little bit in the play, but it's a simple, nice, picnicky travel pub game, and we played it in a cafe, having Christmas drinks, which was nice. So I think it's that kind of have a cuppa, and I'll play solo, and I don't play that many solo games. Or out and about. I'm sure we'll take it on holidays with us, play it on the plane, things like that. Really fun little game, and of course, gorgeous artwork.
Yeah, I'm pleased the route they went with this. I mean, there's often ways where companies try to dilute the game and streamline it to two players. And Flamecraft already plays great at two, so they didn't need to reinvent it all.
No, this is a completely different game. It's just in that same world.
Yeah. So from teeny tiny game you can take with you anywhere you go to massive table hogging wonderful celebration of space travel game that is Galactic Cruise. We fought over this one. Was going to be on my list, but had to share the joy of this game with you.
Yes, you got Luthia.
I did.
Galactic Cruise is fantastic. It's got that lovely Ian O'Toole artwork on it that everyone's been raving about, rightly so. And who doesn't want to take a spaceship cruise ship into space? I love all of those sort of blueprints that have got the funny little rooms in them. I mean, there's even a dice tower convention on the spaceship cruise. All sorts of things like hologram decks and things like that. But it's quite a crunchy.
It really is,
a crunchy game, but I think quite intuitive. As soon as you know sort of what some of those icons are, it's quite evident what you need to do when. Of course, you've got to build up your spaceship. You've got to get what you need in order to take it into space. You need some visitors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a cruise ship. You can't go. There's no point going anywhere
Rubbish.
without any
It's just a pilot
passengers.
going alone.
You're going to need to put those blueprints in, so you've got the different rooms and the decks and things. You're going to have advertised to that. Of course, you're going to need food, water, fuel. So all of those kind of things are evident that you're going to require them. But it does have this fun 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 before you launch off, and that helps you check that you've got everything that you need. And there are ways, if you haven't, there are ways about that. So that's always nice to have. And you can actually relaunch the same ships, which is really fun.
Yeah.
So you're not having to feel like you've got to do all of that legwork again and again and again when you can reuse the ship and re-advertise it to new people. Really interesting puzzle, really crunchy puzzle, but yeah, super fun spacey game, but very Euro-y.
Yeah, it's a heavier game, but shout out to the incredible instruction book for this, which makes it accessible despite its complexity.
Yeah.
Quite a varied list you've gone for this year. So
yeah.
we've just had the heavy game that is Galactic Cruise,
Yes.
and now Hot Streak. That's not going to take long to explain how to play.
I mean, we've always enjoyed things like Ready, Steady, Bet, Camel Up. They're fun, zesty games, and I first played this one in the summer, sort of Augusty time, and it's finally sort of come out to retail, so I finally managed to get our own copy recently.
It's hard to get.
It has indeed. And this is just pure zany chaos fun.
Yeah.
It's not, if you're in the mood for a crunchy game, this isn't it. If you're in the mood for random stuff that's going to surprise every single person around the table and have you all laughing when mascots fall over each other, fall off the side, turn backwards just as you thought they were about to win. This is the kind of chaos that this game has. So it certainly has its place around the table for the right sort of group of friends and the right situation. It just... silly fun, and I can't wait to play it more with family and friends for those sorts of situations.
I love games like this where you're not playing to win, you're just playing to have fun.
and the thing is, it's so unpredictable. I mean, we've played races, and you have sort of 3 races each round, and very little changes. Cards come out, 1 card per player goes back in again, and yet the race changes enormously from one to other. So it's all well and good saying, oh, well, that one won last time, they're bound to win again. Absolutely.
They might even finish
not.
the next game.
Exactly. They could easily end up off the map. And they did.
They did. So if you're enjoying this list so far and you're enjoying Libby's thoughts on the games, do please consider subscribing to our channel. We post 2 videos a week, always talking about board games. So if that's your kind of thing, please do come along for the ride. Now, next up, we have Kingdom Crossing.
Yes, this was a surprise one for me, actually. I hadn't really heard that much about it. Thanks so much to Hachette. They sent us a copy of this one. And it's interesting. It's sort of inspired by a sort of mathematical problem about going over 7 different bridges and not returning over any of them, going over any of them more than once. So that's essentially what you're doing in the game. Looks beautiful, cute little critters, so that makes it really appealing. But that puzzle of the bridges is actually super interesting. And you're building up sort of a little engine, a little tableau of things that you're able to do. And the more and more you can do of certain things as you kind of get them in together into your board, which is always super fun to do. But you're struck really from how you can best do that with where you can actually travel to and from and how far you can travel. And it makes it, there are ways around it. There's a lovely little hot air balloon which you can take to travel, but of course there's going to be a payoff for that one. Money's super tight.
Very tight,
it is a really crunchy game with cute critters. Doesn't take too long to play, actually, especially at 2 players, which is how we've played it most. And it was a bit of a stealth surprise hit for me. Really, really enjoyed it. I can see us getting it to the table time and time again.
Great weekday game. Now, if you've watched our channel for any length of time, you might think that only I play the solo games. I've done lots of videos on solo sessions of different types of solo games I've played. But this year, you've really discovered your appreciation for solo games. You've seen you playing Flamecraft Duels solo, and now Storyfold Wildwoods has really caught your imagination.
Yeah, those two have certainly sort of sparked an interest in solo games, shall we say. Storyfold Wildwoods is a gorgeous production. I mean, the whole thing is like a book. The way it unfolds to create the game map is lovely. I enjoy the way that story is told in it, and the way you have story each time something new is happening. And you're in this sort of magical forest, and there's some troubles to deal with. There's some dark shadows going on. I don't want to give too much away, but you know, the bear and you are roaming about trying to basically save the world, essentially. But it's a really nice mechanism in terms of how the cards work, with that sort of river effect as they push down and go to the back. So then you have to have successes on dice rolls, which get more problematic as they're further at the back. So you want to try and get the things that you want further forwards. That's the sort of main mechanism of it working. But overall, such a beautiful production, such an interesting story. I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen next, what's around the next discover area, what's around the next page even, and so quick to put back away and then get back out and sort of dive back in. You don't feel like you have to do chapters and chapters, because you can just get it right back out again really quickly. So again, although it's got these chapters and campaigns to kind of follow through, I feel like I can play it, you know, a big cup of tea, get through one of the pages, maybe reset and pull out for another page next time.
I think it's great that as you've been playing it, it's been the story that's driving you.
Yes.
And the mechanics are simple and quite elegant. I do like the fact, is it worth waiting for I do that to guarantee the more successes? But ultimately, it's been like, I want to find out what happened next.
Yes.
And that's always a good strength of story, that it does engage you in such a vivid way.
Yeah, and of course I have magical forest music on in the background.
Why wouldn't you? You may have discovered Castle Combo and thought, oh, that's lovely. Secret tip for you. Strange World Above the Clouds takes a lot of those mechanisms and just makes a better game for us. We really love Strange World Above the Clouds.
Yeah, we were really surprised. We went up to a game in Manchester, a gaming day, right sort of February, March time, quite early in the year, and played an early copy. And we played it. We played several games of it just because we fell in love with it straight away. And having come off the back of like Castle Combo, as you say, even far away, having that kind of create something with those cards. This, you're doing a 4x4 grid, but certain things can be in certain rows, certain things can't be next to each other, certain things might devastate a bit of the world if they go next to each other, certain cards are going to give you loads of scoring if you can get it all right. But it also has a draft mechanism at the beginning which can really spiral things out in terms of throwing your opponent an animal that they already have, or something like that. So it might mess things up for them. So it's a really nice, quick, small box game. You draft 3 cards every round. You place them out into this 4x4 grid. So it's very quick to play. But very satisfying when you build out this lovely little world.
It's great that there's this player interaction. Often with these games, you're drawing cards, just working really insularly on your own thing, but the card drafting and the competition for the devastated cities, as that score decreases, maybe it's worth us destroying some of them, using a volcano to destroy something to get a high scoring city early doors. You don't often see that in these kind of games, so it does work so well when playing it with others.
I would say it's one of our favourite small box games this year.
As soon as I saw the White Castle Duel being announced, I was like, well, Libby's going to want that.
Yeah.
She absolutely loves the White Castle. And I thought, well, the White Castle works much like Flamecraft really well at 2. Why do they need a 2-player only version?
But it is different. It's in the same world. You've got that same vibe. You've got that same aesthetic. But the way you're moving things out of onto the board and then pulling them back from the board, really changes the way you play. You're much more focused on those lanterns throughout the game. and the way they work, and you run bigger lanterns for different in each color basically, and you're trying to maximize those so that by the time you get to the end of the game, you really can get some boon when you're bringing those colors back. And it's interesting, you start with the colours that you know from the bridges. The bridges aren't there. But when you're pulling things back to your board, you can pull whatever colours you want.
Mm-hmm.
You could just keep on doubling down. You're getting nice little things. Yeah, it just feels like you get stuff all the time in this, doesn't it? And yeah, it's a quicker, zappier version.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think there's a place in our collection for both of them, and I think we'll play both of them at 2 players, because although it's clearly in that, it gives you a similar vibe, but in a different way.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm playing a different game, which is, ideal, because I want both of them. But yeah, I was impressed. I wasn't sure what to expect, really, because I love White Castle so much.
Yes.
And, especially since we've got all the matcha and everything in there as well, you've got a nice little bit of crunch. So I think for us, the White Castle normal with the expansion is when we've got a little bit more time, and when we're a bit short on time or short on table space, then maybe we'll go for the slightly smaller duo version, but definitely both. So that's it. That's my top 10 of 2025. Have you played any of these? Have you enjoyed them? What games have really been hitting your tables that we need to know about?
Yeah, let us know what we should be
buying. Because, we don't have enough games. Definitely not. But I hope you've enjoyed this list and found it interesting.
Yeah, don't forget I have a list as well of the top 10 games. So if Libby's neglected to mention anything you think was a big standout of 2025, perhaps it is on my list.
Check that one.
Once again, please do subscribe if you're enjoying what we do. It really does help us out.
It does indeed.
But as always, thanks so much for watching.
Bye.